Well, there he goes again. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there he stands, President Obama, blaming the potential loss of the upcoming election for Hillary Clinton on, wait for it, sexism. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott. Steve is coming to us from Florida, from a remote location, undisclosed remote location, given the subject matter. And today we're going to be talking and giving you the right angle on prepping for the defeat of Hillary Clinton using the tried and true methods of the Frankfurt School. Scotty, why don't we start with you? Here's a little quote from our president, who was at a Clinton fundraiser just a short time ago. There's a reason why we haven't had a woman president. We as a society still grapple with what it means to see powerful women, and it still troubles us in a lot of ways unfairly. Well, Scott, you must remember back in 2008 when the sight of a black man troubled us unfairly. The man who didn't look like other presidents, that this horrible racist nation somehow, by sheer accident, probably managed to elect. Is this the proof that we're looking for, that if Hillary doesn't win, that the sexism in America is even stronger than the racism in America?
Well, yeah. I mean, the only reason we voted for the black guy is because we didn't want the girl. I'm pretty sure that's how that played out.
That's exactly.
It's funny because I was just, about to make a lame joke about, I've seen Hillary Clinton try to make her appeal on the stump and she pitches like a girl. But then I remembered that our current president also pitches like a girl. And so that doesn't work. I spoke with someone over the weekend. I happened to be visiting Pennsylvania, and my old stamping grounds, as I've now worked that phrase into every show since we first talked about it. As somebody said, well, maybe don't you think it's because Hillary Clinton's a woman that she's having such a hard time? And I said, well, I might think that, as ordinarily in 1971, I might think that. But I literally have not heard anybody on my side of the aisle making any kind of even offhanded remarks like, oh, we can't have a woman president. I think people are well past that. I think that the issue has nothing to do with whether or not Hillary Clinton is a woman. It's whether or not she can be trusted. And oddly enough, I think you'll find broad general agreement for people if they said, setting aside her ethics, her morality, her track record of corruption, and all that kind of stuff, do you think that Hillary Clinton has the experience and competence to serve as president of the United States? And I think most people would say yes. Yeah, she's able to do that. She's smart enough. She's got the education. She has enough experience in government. And if she weren't a filthy, despicable person, then she would be totally competent to be president of the United States. And it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a female. But see, the problem with the whole Democratic campaign this year is that trope was taken away from them. They don't have that to work with, and I'll let Bill explain why. But
specify what they don't have to work with, Scotty.
What they don't have to work with is the normal thing. Like they went after Mitt Romney for being a sexist because he said he interviewed a lot of women, and he had a whole bunch of resumes in 3-ring binders. So they were looking at evaluating a lot of women to serve in his cabinet in Massachusetts, and that became somehow an insult and a byword. But in this race, if you notice, most of the year, there's been almost nothing said about Donald Trump being like cis toward Hillary Clinton, because he really hasn't. I mean, he has treated her, he's done sort of the ultimate thing that you can do to get rid of bigotry and discrimination, is that he's been as big a jerk toward her as he's been toward everybody else.
That's his genius right there.
Well, Steve, hang on, because the president isn't finished. He's got to hammer this point into the ground because it's a very important point. You never finished. Here's something else he said at that same fundraiser. Obama added later, this should not be a close election, but it will be. And the reason it will be is not because of Hillary's flaws. It's not because of Hillary's flaws, Steve. What flaws? I mean, Scott just a second ago said we'd be perfectly happy to vote for a woman candidate if we could just remove all of the corruption, greed, traitorous, felonious behavior and everything. But that's what she is.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting about this is the president is basically attempting to shame people into voting for Hillary
Right.
Clinton. Now, let me tell you why that's let me tell you why that's so interesting. Shame is the handmaiden of virtue. If you don't have the virtue of honesty, you're not ashamed of lying. You're a Clinton. No, you can't be ashamed of lying because you don't think it matters. If stealing doesn't bother you, you're not ashamed when you get caught stealing because you don't have that virtue. Shame and virtue go hand in hand together. Well, how do you shame the American people into voting for Hillary Clinton when Hillary Clinton herself, just a couple of weeks ago, called a huge chunk of the American electorate deplorables, just unredeemable human beings who are just the lowest rung of humanity and maybe not even quite human if you want to get really down into the progressive list of values. So she's already said, you Americans who don't vote for me are without virtue. And here is Obama trying to shame these people into voting for her. Well, you can't have one without the other. And that's just the way that works.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Steve. That's just the way it works. The way it works for the modern Democratic Party is the way it's worked for several years now, at least 8, and probably significantly more than that. And that is this: the Democrats, in order to win national elections, have to have certain groups of Americans turn out in big numbers. And one of those groups is women, and another one of those groups is blacks. So, if we got to get the black population out to vote every single election, then and Barack Obama is leaving, how do we get black people amped up for Hillary? Well, we're going to come up with this Black Lives Matter thing. We're going to convince black Americans that they're being assassinated in the street by a police officer when it's 4% of the total black homicides are shot by police. So we've got to get the black population ginned up so they'll come out and vote. And this is just Barack Obama doing what the Democrats do. He's now ginning up the women to come out and vote. He's basically challenging women who are thinking, I don't know about this woman. She just doesn't seem right to me. He's basically saying, if you believe in feminism, you have to vote for Hillary Clinton. And I think it's exactly the opposite. I think it's 100% the opposite. The reason I don't consider myself a racist or a misogynist is because I'm perfectly willing to criticize Barack Obama and perfectly willing to criticize Hillary Clinton as individual people on their individual demerits, which are legion. The idea that you shouldn't attack somebody or criticize somebody because they're black or because they're a woman, or that you should vote for somebody simply because they're black or because they're a woman, is the real racism. It's the actual racism. And it's the actual admission, really, that they're not really fully capable of doing what a white male is capable of. Whenever you hear people scream, that's sexism, that's this, we lost because of racism, we lost because of sexism, you're dealing with people who are not capable of understanding that conservatives don't hate Barack Obama because he's black, and we don't hate Hillary Clinton because she's a woman. We hate him because Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are despicable people and have done despicable things. I will close this by saying something that an actual racist and an actual misogynist is not capable of saying, and that's simply this. If I could pick a Republican candidate at this late stage in the game, my choice, without question, would be Condoleezza Rice. And the reason I would choose Condoleezza Rice is because she's much smarter than I am, and she's much more disciplined than I am. She's much more, just in every way, a better person than I am. Racists can't say things like that, and neither can misogynists either. Condoleezza Rice is the example that proves our case. She's a person who made it all on her own, didn't marry into money, didn't marry into power, and utterly ignored by the left. She's black, she's a woman, first Secretary of State to do that. Nope, ignored. So, Condi, I know you watch pretty much everything we do here. Please reconsider, and if not, then certainly throw your hat in there for 2020, because the rest of us are getting pretty sick of this nonsense. And that's the right angle on the Obama strategy of divide and conquer and name calling, brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com, to whom we are eternally grateful. And if you'd like to help keep these shows coming and all the rest of them too, you can go to BillWhittle.com and click on Become a Member and become a citizen producer and help get this news out where it needs to be. So until next time, I'm Bill Whittle here for Steve Green and Scott Ott. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Some of those members are girls, by the way.